The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.
Let's take another caller because the phone lines are burning up. Johnny, thank you so much for listening. Where are you calling from, Johnny? Gulf Coast or around the United States? Where are you calling from?
Near Ocean City, Maryland.
Okay, from Maryland. Okay, thank you so much, Johnny, for listening today, and thanks for calling from Maryland. You're on with Mike Zullo. What's your question?
Hello. Nice to meet both of you. Anyway, who made this guy above the law? Why can't you just arrest him?
Now,
Simple as that.
which guy are you talking about? Obama?
Obama.
Okay. Well, you know what? That's a good question, and it's been asked before. Mike Zullo, why can you not march up to the White House and arrest Obama, even though you know, as an officer of the law, that he has broken the law? Why can you not just walk up there and arrest him?
Because, first of all, we don't have the jurisdiction to do that. Second of all, we would never do something like that because what would have to happen here is this information would have to be turned over to a prosecutor. And a prosecutor is going to have to make a decision whether or not he's going to level a charge against an individual.
Right.
And to think that somehow we can circumvent that and go carry out that kind of action actually is something that you would never see done.
Right.
In law enforcement. There's procedures that have to happen. And getting to the prosecutionatory stage of this, you have to realize that, you have to get a prosecutor who's willing to do this.
Right. And
that's not an easy task.
Yeah, and it goes back to what you said in the beginning. It's got to be adjudicated. I mean, we've had presidents impeached. And theoretically, a president could be arrested, I suppose. Even depending upon how treasonous or how bad the case was. But this has to be, all the evidence has to be heard by an adjudicating body, and an adjudication has to be made. Correct? I mean, you can't just walk up to the White House and arrest the guy.
No, and Carl, we're investigating a fraudulent document.
Right.
We're not investigating anything else.
Right.
And there has to be evidence to accuse somebody of fabricating that document.
Right. Right.
And you have to be able to put that individual in place somewhere doing it.
That's right.
So it's a very far stretch.
Yes. Yeah. I got it. But I appreciate you answering it, and I appreciate her asking the question. And thank you for listening from Maryland. We've got another listener from Oklahoma. I see the name, and I know who this is. This is Mickey Booth. Mickey Booth is the one that wrote the book, Memoirs of a Community Organizer from Hawaii. She's a good friend of mine, good friend of Mike Zullo. Thank you for listening today, Mickey. And, of course, we're talking about the video, and you're a congressman. Weigh in a little bit here, Mickey.
I know, it's pretty exciting. There's a number of versions of it going around now. Roll Call has picked it up and has my version on it. And their spin on the deal is that Mullen admits that he's a birther by, what do you call?
By proxy?
Admits he's a birther because he's among all of the birthers that don't believe Obama was born in the United States. That's always the spin they put on it, instead of the truth that we're addressing a fraudulent document.
Right.
And Obama's proof, basically to steal the election and get away with it. I mean, it's criminal from the bottom up.
Right.
And also BuzzFeed carried it too, and they used there was another videographer there, and I don't know if he was from BuzzFeed, but apparently a connection to BuzzFeed, because they took that video and they edited out all of the parts where I was talking about the investigation, about Sheriff Arpaio, about Congressman Steve Stockman and the other congressmen that were stepping up,
right.
Believing that it should be heard in Congress. And these are the parts he shouted, over me on all of this. And at one point, he even a lot of people didn't pick it up, but I did, and I'd forgotten that he said that until I heard it get on the tape. But he actually said, "I really don't give a shit."
Oh, my gosh.
He said that.
Oh, my gosh, he said that? Well, yeah. I can't believe you just said that. They might shut our station down. Because
I'm so sorry.
No, Mickey,
he
no, listen.
The way that he did it.
I know. But let me just interject. In context, I don't mind you saying it, because that I didn't know that he said that. And so they edited that out?
That part they left in.
Oh, okay.
Because they wanted to for him to appear like a real lunatic, because he's agreeing that he believes that the birth certificate is a forgery.
Right.
And so they were trying to make him out to look like a birther, and his very spokesperson on the roll call article, she says that, BuzzFeed did it intentionally to make him look like a birther candidate.
Right. Well,
and she adamantly states on there that he has never been, for the birther issue, and he's never, ran on that or anything like that.
Right.
And when I read that, it reminded me that when he was running for the office, and that's actually the office that I ran for in 2010 against Dan Warren, who decided, he won that year in 2010, but then he decided not to run again, and so that's how Mullen got in.
Right. Well, Mickey, listen, we're up against a break, and Mickey, you hang on, and I appreciate you calling. So, Mike, she makes a good point. They're continually trying to bring it back to the birther issue, but like you have said so many times, at this point, this is not about necessarily where he's born. That may come out. I mean, that's going to have to come out eventually, but it's about why would the man in the White House present a fraudulent document, right? It's about the fraudulent document. It's about a felony being committed.
Carl, that's what it's about. It's always been about that for us. And, to go out on a little bit of a limb here, I am having a very difficult time believing that birth event took place in that particular hospital.
Yeah.
And it's becoming, more apparent to me as this goes on.
Yeah.
So I think the question here is, why does somebody do something like this? What's the motive?
Right. And I know you've been to Hawaii several times, and you've had some deep conversations in and around the Department of Health and the hospitals, and you've got a lot of reason to believe that. And I've presented the scenario over and over again that, look, why don't they have a plaque? Why don't they have a statue? Why don't they have a memorial? Why don't they have, not a memorial, a monument? Why don't they claim Barack Obama was born here? It's on the birth certificate that he proffered, but Kapi'olani won't do it, will he, Mike? Not yet.
No, I don't believe they have any evidence that it did happen.
Yeah, that's what it's seeming like. Folks, we got to take a quick time out. When we come back, we'll take more of your calls, more of Mike Zullo, his commentary and revelations. We'll talk about Steve Stockman and some of the latest on where we might be with him and Congress. When we come back, Freedom Friday with Carl Gallups. I told you didn't want to miss this. We'll be right back.
Now, back to your turn on 1330 WEBY, Northwest Florida's talk radio. The phone lines are open, so call in and join the conversation at 623-1330.
And now, the Commander-in-Chief is back. Freedom Friday with Carl Gallups, the Oval Office of Gulf Coast Talk Radio.
All right, welcome back, America. We're going right back to the phone line. Mike Zullo, we've got a minute and a half, so let me just ask a question, because I know a lot of people are listening all over the nation for your answer on this. We know that Congressman Yoho out of Florida last week, I think it was, made some kind of announcement at a Tea Party meeting that Steve Stockman had a bill and that Yoho would probably support him in it, et cetera, come before Congress. I know that you have access to Steve Stockman and his office, and that you've talked to him and he wants to talk more to you. What do you know about that? Do we know if he's got a bill? Do we know what he's doing? Do we know if he's... talk to us.
No, what I know is that Steve was contemplating a number of different things and tossing them back and forth. I'm not aware they made any specific decision. He's on recess and he's been out of the country.
Right.
So I have not had a conversation with him. So I'm a little bit in the dark, as well as everybody else is. And that town hall meeting that took place in Florida, that may be something that Steve is considering, but I don't have any indication that that's what he's going to pursue.
Right.
I know he's going to pursue something. I just don't know completely what it is yet. Right.
So either Yoho is absolutely correct, and that's what's happening, or he might have misspoken. I don't think Yoho would have just lied. More than, it seems to me that at least Stockman has spoken to Yoho about this, or the possibility of it, for him to get up and say that in front of a group of people.
Well, that's evident, and it's evident that Steve is contemplating something.
Something, yeah.
But I can't speak on his behalf.
Right, and I know that Steve has spoken to you at great lengths, and he's spoken to you and me together, and made some promises of plans, but we don't know at this point if he's carried them through or going to yet. But we're trusting that he'll do what he says, huh?
That's all we can do. You have to trust, and you have to believe that somebody's going to step up and do something.
Yeah, absolutely. Mike, we got 5 seconds. I got to let you go. God bless you, Mike. We'll have you back on soon. Thanks for being a part of the show today.
Thank you, Carl.
Okay.
Right, bye-bye.
Folks, we'll be right back after this timeout.
The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.